What is your relationship with money? Today's money mindset coach is going to help you get to the bottom of it so that you can start stacking your coins. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much. You are watching the Manifest on Purpose show. I am your host, Kimbaley, and I am here to elevate your mind. Today is going to be financially. We have an amazing guest that's going to talk to you about your money mindset. But I just want to say thank you for showing up, sharing your energy, and sharing this space with us today. Thank you for all of those you've invited. And I don't ask much of you, but I would like to tell you that it helps when you like this. It helps the algorithm reach more people. I'm not about those type of numbers, but I am here to help humanity. And in order to reach humanity, we got to get the thumbs up, we have to share this video, and we have to subscribe. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for the ones that you've already invited. And thank you for subscribing here and on the website at Kimbaley, KimbaleyWilliams.com. And you know how I feel about you. The God in me loves the God in you. I have to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Astro-Numerologist LLoyd Strayhorn and their Star 8 mobile numerology app. The app is awesome. It's a perfect way to plan your day, your week, your life. Make sure that you get this app because it also will go into details about who you are. You can download the app at astar8.com. That's ASTAR, the number 8.com. You can also get it on Google Play and the App Store. If you're seeking to get a little more clarity about you and the cycles in your life, make sure that you book your Astro-Numerology consultation with Kimbaley. You can get that at Kimbaley, KimbaleyWilliams.com. You can also get your personal report, a compatibility report, and we're going into 2025. Have you made a plan yet? You can make a plan if you get your 2025 yearly forecast, because that will tell you what you can expect for the year ahead. Guys, it is the moment we've all been waiting for. I told you I had a special guest today. She's going to help you get your coins up. Please help me welcome to the Manifest on Purpose show for the very first time, LaPorcha. How you doing, Portia?
Doing well, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's so glad to have you here today. I feel like this is a much needed conversation. Are you ready for us today?
Yes, I am, and I'm glad to be here as well and to share in this space with you.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. Can you tell us who LaPortia is and what does she do?
Well, I'm a woman of mystery. Well, we're all multifaceted. It's like what Whitney Houston said, or Shaka Khan, if you want to go back to the original person. I am every woman, right? I wear many hats. I am a lecturer. I am a money mindset coach. The main thing in that, yes, I help people with money, but it's through the mindset, right? And so we want to point out the emphasis there is on the mindset. And then also, big cryptocurrency fan, right? And then also, I have a background in computer science, so very techie kind of person as well. And my whole passion in life is to help others become their best self, right? At the end of the day, we all owe it to ourselves to be our best version of ourselves, and whatever that is for you, you define what your best version is, right? And all of us have a purpose in life. And sometimes we think that that purpose may be something on a grand scale, but maybe your purpose is to be a good mother to your kids, right? So, whatever that is for you, be the best version of that.
Wow, I believe what you said in the beginning, LaPortia. After listening to your background, I will say that you are every woman.
And real estate, I didn't even bring that up, right? So, I am a real estate broker as well as an investor. So,
It sounds like you're a woman that knows how to go get it.
Yes, yes. And we all have to be out there getting it for ourselves because nobody's gonna, make your dream life but you.
You know what? I hear a lot of people talking about the money mindset. Not too many people break that all the way down. Can you tell us what the money mindset is?
Well, really, it's just cultivating, I guess, an attitude of abundance, right, and prosperity, and even knowing that even in your darkest moment, there still is light, right? And we often think when we have challenges in life, that we won't be able to get over it, we won't be able to sustain ourselves. But it's in trusting the process, right? Knowing that there's something greater than yourself that's at work to make your life better than what you could even imagine. And I think a lot of times we get hung up on how we want things to be, but how we want things to be is not necessarily maybe the best thing for you, right? So these are the things that we really need to look at. And when it comes to money, yes, money is great to have, but it's not the end all be all. And I also teach my clients about holistic wealth, right? So whenever you do get your coins up, I want you to be I want you to be generous with it, right? I want you to be able to share it with others. Be charitable in nature because you need to have a purpose greater than yourself. And to be greater than yourself, that means that you're serving others in some kind of way. And whenever you get the money, you need to be able to serve people in some shape, form, or fashion. And it could be just donating to your favorite charity quite often, or it could be doing something like the water well in Africa for the kids or for the people that don't have clean water there. Like whatever it is that you feel most in alignment with is what you should follow.
Why is it do you think a lot of people struggle when it comes to financial matters?
Well, as you know, you create your own reality. And that's even so in the financial sense. Money, the only purpose money has in life is to be a tool, the tool to get you to whatever you need, right? And so we should look at money as a tool and not as the end all be all because we think that once we get the money, we're going to be happy, or I'll be happy when I have $1 million. Why are you delaying the happiness that you could have today? There's so many things that you can be appreciative of and be grateful of in this moment, and you're overlooking it. And that's what I bring into balance in people's lives, right? That balance of looking at what you already have, being grateful for it, and know that more will be added to you.
Wow, if you're listening to this, I told you, bring a notepad. She is dropping some jewels on us. What got you into this line of work?
Myself, right? Having my own issues, right? And my own struggles. And the fact that I had to have that come to Jesus moment with myself about my own money habits. I would get large checks, right? In real estate, you get nice lump sum checks at a time. But what I would realize is that the money would come in just as soon as would leave as soon as it would come in. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? Why is the money, I'm making good money, but yet I have nothing to show for it? Meaning that, yeah, I got some nice shoes, some clothes, and whatnot. But what do I have that's tangible that's going to sustain me into the future? Because it's nice to have material things, right? Be able to wear the nicest and the flyest stuff. But I can't resell that Gucci bag at what the price I bought it for, right? And then it's not a tax write off, right? Uncle Sam is not going to let me write off that Gucci bag. And then at the end of the day, it's not going to bring me in monthly revenue either. Now, I know that people are saying, oh, well, they got websites where you can rent that kind of stuff out, but still, I mean, you're still not going to get what you think you're going to get for that bag. So at the end of the day, we need to be looking at things that are going to bring in value and going to have a worth, and most importantly, some type of income. And so once I realized that about myself in the trajectory of where I was going financially, I knew I had some money issues. And where was it stemming from, right? And so where it was stemming from was the fact that I was in this constant loop of thinking I had to struggle because the stories are, oh, well, he struggled to make it. You have to work hard. You got to struggle. You got to work to the bone and all this other good stuff. And so, in my mindset, this is what I learned. And so, therefore, I was in a perpetual state of struggling, right? I kept myself in this cycle because that was normal for me. And when I had money, it was like, wait a minute, I'm not a person that has money. Let me hurry up and get rid of it as soon as possible so I can get back to struggling again. right? Because that's where I was as far as my thermostat, my wealth thermostat. That's where I was set. And everybody has a baseline of where they feel comfortable with their money. And believe it or not, you may say you want $1 million, but if subconsciously it doesn't align, it'll never happen for you because deep down inside, you don't believe you can have it.
That's powerful. So, what you're saying, it shows that you really went through this. And to me, I feel like it was a divine purpose because you really went through this so that other people would not have to struggle. Because listening to your story, we could hear step by step that this is what happened. And can you go deeper into, because I loved when you talked about that baseline. Can you go deeper into that thermostat?
Yes, yeah, I sure can. So everybody has a thermostat set, right? And it's just like the thermostat in your home for your AC, right? So you may have yours set at 75. I could have mine set at 78. I'm comfortable at 78. You're comfortable at 75, right? And everything is good. But when that thermostat goes above that temperature, so yours is set for 75. If it goes up to 77, starting to feel hot in here. I'm gonna have to drop it back down to 75. And that's the same thing as far as your mind and where your wealth thermostat is. Because you get comfortable at a certain level. Here's a story. There was this guy that, he was from another country, but he came to America to work and he got into sales. And he thought that making $50,000 was just going to be the end all be all. He was like, man, I make $50,000. That's it. I can do this. I can do that. And so he goes in with the mindset of making the $50,000. And as soon as he would hit his $50,000 mark, he'd kind of slack off on work because he's hit his sales goal, right? He's good. Well, one year he realized that his colleagues were hitting 80,000, some even 100,000. And he was like, wow, I never considered going above and beyond. See, his wealth thermostat was already set for 50,000. There was no way that subconsciously he was going to go above that number because he could have worked more to obtain more if he would have known there was more. And that's what I'm telling you. You have to be aware, right, of there being abundance in your life and that there is no limit, right? We are unlimited beings, right? There's no limit to you. And so, and the things that you can bring into your life, but through habit, repetition, and programming, we get set at a certain level, thinking that's just as high we can go.
So can that baseline be changed? And if one changes that baseline, how can they do it?
Yeah, so the baseline can be changed, and that's one of the techniques that I do teach my clients, where we increase your wealth thermostat. I have you close your eyes, deep breathing, get you in like in a hypnotic trance, and then from there we imagine what that number is for you, right? Your baseline number, and then we start to increase that number, keep increasing the number, keep increasing the number, and then noticing the feeling that's coming up within you as the number increase, because some people get scared, right? They don't know what it's like on the other side to have more than that. Some people fear having money because they feel like it may change them. So you get to address those emotions, right? But in an imaginary way that becomes real for you. Because remember, your mind, unfortunately, really doesn't know what's real and what's imaginary. There's a fine line between that.
I was just going to say it sounds like it's deeper than just the money. It sounds like it's deeper than currency. So can you tell us like what is the driving force behind all of this baseline that some people may have, the limiting beliefs that they have about money and finances? What is the driving force that brings or produces these what we call money problems or financial problems?
Well, we all go through some type of trauma as we, grow up and as we're younger. And some trauma is greater than others. But what we don't realize and what's hitting is the money trauma, right? Because we all suffer money trauma as children, depending on what financial status our parents had, right? Because you may have wanted something that your parent couldn't afford, right? We don't have money. Money doesn't grow on trees. So you hear these things repetitively, and your family only goes, they work at a certain level. They make what, a dollar out of 15 cents. So you're used to this stretching, not, American do with what you got. We only have a little, so we're going to make a lot. And so you get that mentality in it. And it, unfortunately, you think it's serving you in life, but in the end, it's not. It's pinching you off from the abundance that you could have If only you would see the opportunities that are around you that could bring you in more money, right? And we get stuck into the role of having to work a job, because some people are in that mindset, well, I just have to work a job, I have to work more hours, I have to do this and that. Well, that's all well and good, but then you're trading a lot of your time for money. And I don't know about you, but I only have 24 hours in my day, and I like to sleep for 8 of them. So we're gonna have to work out them other 16, right? Like, I don't even know. So you have to think about this, right? There's only one you. So this means that you're going to have to find some way to produce some item of value that people would like to use. It could be a service, it could be a product, whatever, right? It either have to be a service or a product. And then from there, develop that and then put it out there for people to use.
I wholly agree with you because I feel like too that there should be some types of income that is coming in that does not require your physical presence because we don't know what's going to happen day to day.
We don't know.
And you don't want to be caught up in that situation where something does happen and you're unable to physically go out there and do what you need to do to be financially secure. So I totally agree with that. What is the ideal mindset or the ideal relationship with money?
Well, your ideal relationship with money is that it shouldn't be above, you know, family, clean air, water, those kind of things, right? Things that actually have a purpose in your life. Money is nice to have. Don't get me wrong. We live in a capitalistic society where thereby we need money in order to survive, right? Rents due, landlords looking for money. Electric bills due, they're looking for money. So we have to use it because it's a tool, right? It's a tool that we use to exchange. Because remember, before the actual dollars and whatnot, people used to barter, meaning that if I had some corn and you had some lamb, we would trade, right? I would trade so many bushels of corn for your lamb, and we would be good. But somebody came up with a really big idea. It was like, well, you can't just carry that lamb around all the time with you, cutting off pieces for people, right? It doesn't make sense. So we're going to have to come up with some type of invention that will allow us to trade, right, in exchange for whatever good or service that somebody's providing. That's when we came up with money. But that's all it is. I mean, you're exchanging energy for energy, basically, is all you're using money for. And so once we put money in its proper place to understand that we alone give something meaning, right? Just like, for instance, if someone that you didn't know called you up and say, Kimberly, I don't like you, you'd be like, whatever, hang up the phone. But if your mother called you up and said, Kimberly, I don't like you, you would feel some type of way because your mother has meaning to you in your life. And so, therefore, we need to look at the emotion that you have, with money, and how much meaning does it have in your life.
Wow, that's deep. And I look at it too as like it's a word that you said that stuck out, energy. It's an energy, and we should treat it as such, no matter if it's paper energy or if it's going back trading and bartering, it's still you using the tools, as you once again said, to get the things that you need or get to your destination, if you will.
That's all it is. It's just a tool, and your energy is what produced the money, right? Because that's when you work, you are expending energy for that company, and so in exchange for your energy, the company is giving you these dollars, right? So your energy is now manifested in something materialistic. But they don't have to pay you in dollars, right? If you're cool with getting paid the new pair of Air Max, right? They'll give you that in exchange, right? It just depends on what you find of value.
The
That's all it is.
company probably would love that.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. If people rather get paid in Air Maxes, right, they'll probably take that out every day, all day.
Yeah, especially Nike, companies like that. That would be a breeze. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. I like to do things different. So I have some scenarios for you, LaPortia. I'm going to give you some scenarios, and the purpose of these scenarios is I have the audience in mind, and I'm thinking about some questions that they may ask about money mindset. And I'm going to give you the scenario and hear your advice on it. The first scenario is You have a woman who decides to step out on faith to fulfill her passion in becoming an entrepreneur. Her partner says no. Boo, you got to go get a job. How would you advise that person?
Well, relationships are tricky, right? Everybody's situation is not the same. They're very unique as far as the dynamic that two people have in a relationship. And so most relationships are set at the offset of it. I mean, the foundation is set. So if you're a woman that's used to, and I hate to say it, a lot of us fall back. We become subservient to our men, right? We listen and we kind of placate to what they want. And so if we've been doing that for a long time, and then all of a sudden you try to be assertive with this man and say, "Hey, no, look, I'm starting this business," he may be thrown for a loop, right? He may not understand that you're changing. You may not be the same person that he met 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, whenever you guys met. Because you have to remember, no one stays the same. If anyone says, "Well, I'm the same as I was," yeah, are you still wearing diapers? Right? Are you still in high school? Are you still wearing braces? Right? Like people change. Hairstyle, hair color, all that good stuff. Facial features as you get older. So you can't say that you haven't changed in any kind of way. So with that being said, it's all about the person understanding the process that you have to go through in life, and being willing to make some compromises along the way if it's a financial thing as to why they want you to stay working, because the bills need to be paid, or they want to make sure they maintain a certain lifestyle, and things like that. Maybe there should be a compromise. Maybe say, "Hey, look, I really would like to start my own business. I understand that it will require me to quit my job, but allow me to do this for 6 months. And if nothing pans out in 6 months, or it doesn't seem like it's going to work, then maybe I'll look into getting a job at that point. But we should have enough in savings or whatever to sustain us, for that long." It's about making these compromises. Now, if he's still, hell bent on not quitting your job and things like that, then maybe you need to evaluate the person that you're with, because maybe that person, maybe you have come as far as you can go with that person, right? It has to be a come to Jesus moment where you're at a point in your life where nothing's going to get in your way of your passion and dreams, or you're going to allow somebody to dictate how your life's going to go. And I can bet you dollars to donuts, when you get older, you're going to regret allowing somebody to make decisions for you and you not stepping out on your own faith. Because at the end of the day, you only have one life to live. I don't care if you believe in reincarnation and all that good stuff. It's only going to be one you. Like there's only one LaPorcha in this one lifetime. There's only one Kimbaley in this one lifetime. Now our soul may reincarnate, but they're going to be different lives, right? It's not going to be me. So at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we live to our fullest, right? And whatever that is for you. And if you make mistakes along the way, so what? Those mistakes were there in order for you to grow. So, like I said, if you're with somebody who's not allowing you to grow, then maybe you need to evaluate that situation. Because trust me, honey, he's not the only person, or she's not the only person, because it goes both ways. I've heard of men wanting to start their own business and their wives be like, "Oh, you need to keep that job, blah, blah, blah," not allowing him to be who he wants to be and who he could become. Because if your man's out there trying to hustle and have a business, then I think you should give him the full opportunity to build that and help him, because guess what? When he starts rolling in the dough, you're going to be right there with him spending that money.
And if they don't, they're going to regret it in the long run.
Exactly. And like I said, you have to evaluate who you're with, because if you're not with someone who's supporting you in your dreams, then maybe that's not the person for you. Sometimes we have to have these come to Jesus moments with ourselves and realize it doesn't matter how long you've been with somebody. It depends on how well you guys are growing together. Because when you get with somebody, you can't stay the same, and that may be the dynamic issue that we may have between men and women. Because women marry men hoping they will change, or get with men hoping they will change, whereas men get with women hoping they'll never change.
That's quite the opposite.
It's
Yeah.
quite the opposite, but it's true. Right? I met you
Yeah.
skinny. What do men say? I met you skinny and I don't want you getting bigger. Right? They want you staying the way you were when they met you day one. They don't
I
want you to
never
change.
thought about it like that, LaPortia. I never thought about it. Thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah, a lot of them are. I'm not gonna say every one of them, but that's the dominant thing. Is whereas women, right, we get a man, we look at him as a project. Girl, I know now he hanging out with his dudes and doing this and that. But wait, once I get him, he gonna be in with me. I'm gonna have him working, blah blah blah. Like we look for a project. We looking for the man to change, or we see that the way that he is, and thinking we can change him.
Boy, that's not gonna happen.
And that's
That's
what I'm
not
saying. You
gonna
can't change
happen.
people. The only person you can change is yourself,
Is
right?
you.
It's an operation from the inside out. It's not from the outside in. So looking at external factors, how people are acting or behaving, that has nothing to do with you.
It doesn't. Okay, next scenario. You answered that wonderfully. You have a young adult that's starting a career with a corporation. The person wants to retire from the career financially secure. So they enrolled in the company investment plans and they're waiting for this retirement. What advice would you give this person if they want to be financially well off
Well, it
during
depends on their
retirement?
age. Yeah, I was about to say it depends on your age. When you're younger, you have so much time, right? You have a lot of time to build things more so than someone who's in their 40s plus, because 20 years makes a big difference. Especially if you're talking about investing, because someone who's in their 20s can start with a small amount and it increase, exponentially by the time they get older, right? They have another 20 years. So if I'm 20 and I invest my money right by the time I'm 40, then, right, I shouldn't have to work anymore. And I think that what happens is we get blinded by consumerism at a young age because they start marketing to us as children, right? That Barbie, that GI Joe, whatever it is, right? You're begging your mama for it, that toy, and then not to mention when you get into high school, you got to have labels, right? You got to have the flyest clothes. You have to compete. If not, you're not going to be popular, right? So we get, I guess, duped into consumerism at a young age, and so a lot of us don't really think about putting our money away when we're in our 20s because we're all out there in the club trying to do the damn thing and spend money here and there showing people we got it and we're ballers. But if you would reverse that, right? Because there are some 20-year-olds who have actually did that. Like they didn't do those things. They actually put their money into like buying a home and they bought the house and was able to pay it off within 20 less than 20 years and things like that. I think I read a couple, they were like in their early 30s and they paid their house off in 15 years. These are things that we need to strive for, something that's going to have a lasting value in the long run. Because imagine this, if you paid your house off early when you hit 30, then that house, you can go buy another one, rent that one out, and then build your little rental empire from there. And with certain loans like FHA is a government issue, a government backed loan. It allows you to get into a home with little down payments of 3.5%. And maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but they only require you to stay in the home for 2 years. So you stay in the house for 2 years, buy another one, do the same thing all over again, right? And so there's ways of building that, but you have to be on track to build that. And I'm not saying, you can't do that in your 40s, but when you're in your 20s and 30s, just have a little more flexibility because you're more willing to move around more so than, someone in their 40s. Now, I would say if you are in your 40s, or and this goes for any age group, to be honest with you, even if you're a teenager, produce something of value, right? Whether that's a book, some type of service, something that's going to have value, that's going to pay you while you're not working, right? This is something that we really need to teach our kids when they're younger. Because think about this. If you have, I think on Lloyd's show, they had some kids on there and the girl was like 12 or whatever, and she had already written 2 books. So where is she going to be in another 10 years? She already has 2 books out there. And those books are always going to be income producers for her, right? Even if she sells 4 or 5 in a year, she's still making money from those books. So this is what I'm trying to build in the minds of others, especially when it comes to kids, because kids have the most opportunity than most adults do. And I'm not saying it's too late for us, not at all, because you still have the opportunity to produce something of value, get it out there, get it sold. Also, with this new digital economy coming up, there's so many opportunities that is ridiculous. You don't have to have a lot of money to make money these days, right? All you have to have, it used to be a dollar and a dream. Now all you have to have is a dream, because the technology is pretty much free. I think ChatGTP, there's a free version of it. So what's stopping you from creating something from that?
You know you coming back, right? You know you are coming back. You brought up a question for me. I was going to ask you, do you think our children are being properly prepared when it comes to financial literacy?
No, not at all. That's one thing that was sorely lacking, and for a reason, in our educational system. You know what's funny? You know who designed our education system? The wealthiest man in the world at the time, John D. Rockefeller. Now, what interest did he have in our education system? Oh, so he wanted to produce more workers, right? He didn't want people to be wealthy, right? And so they don't teach these things in class. They don't teach you money management. They don't teach you how to, how to run your household, how to save and invest. They don't teach you any of these things, but they do teach you home ec, so you learn how to sew. So I don't, you know,
Yeah, I
that's a home
remember
skill.
that one. Home ec, they teach you cooking
Yeah,
and
cleaning and sewing and
yeah,
all that good
they
stuff,
teach you
right?
that stuff. Yeah, you
Right.
need
But they
to
didn't teach
know
you how to
that.
balance a checkbook. We didn't learn that in home ec.
And you know, we had it was a structure. And if we take that same structure and put things in it that are beneficial for our children, then we could come together and build something that can benefit the youth because you know what Whitney said, the children are our future. So if we prepare them now, then maybe later when we're gone, you know, they can take up the torch and run with it and perhaps do a whole lot better than we did. But
Yeah, I really
thank you
believe
for
that.
answering that question. And it brought up something else. I heard you say something about digital, and I wanted to ask you about the book From Fiat to Digital. Can you
Hmm.
tell us what that is?
Yeah, so that is my first book, and basically people think it's just a crypto book, but it's not. Okay, my book is more or less getting your mindset on the level of understanding that this is going to be the new way of life, right? And helping people shift from the old paradigm to the new way of being. Because to be honest with you, the banking system has always been evolving. We are slow to catch up to what these people are doing, but at the end of the day, we always have to play their game. And so what I mean by that is, if you think about it, 20 years ago, people were still writing checks, right? Still, and places still accepted checks. Now, who's writing checks and who accept checks? Not many places and not many people are writing checks, right? And then on top of that, let's talk about online banking. Online banking came about 20 years ago, early 2000s, and people were like, "Ah, I don't trust doing business online. I'm gonna still take my check into the bank and let the teller do it and blah blah blah." Okay, well now how many bank branches have been closed because they want people to use online banking now, right? They have forced us in that direction whether you want to or not. So my whole thing in the book is making people realize that this isn't going anywhere. This is the framework, and now we have the greatest opportunity in our lives for a good shift because wealth is shifting. I read something recently. There was an article where it says that more black and brown people are getting into the digital space, which is crypto, because we don't trust the banks. We've have a long-standing distrust relationship with these banks. And so now we have a new system that's going to let us be sovereign, meaning that we can do our own banking, we can lend our own money, we can also earn interest off our own money, right? Because that's what happens when you put your money in a savings account. The bank is lending out your money, making more interest off of it, lending your money out than what they're giving back to you in your savings. So is that fair? It's not, right? At the end of the day, it's not. So we want to even the playing ground, playing ground here, and so that's what we're doing, right? With this new digital economy, there's so many opportunities. You remember at the beginning of the 2000s, it was the dot coms and dot com this and dot com that. Well, that boomed and that bust, but this is not going to bust. All this is going to do is continue to boom. If you think about it, Bitcoin wasn't even around in 2004. That would be 20 years ago. It wasn't even around. It came about in 2008, and now it's been around just shy of what, 15, well, a little more than 15 years. And look at the impact it's already had. So, what's another 15 years going to look like for us?
And I think this information stage is really evolving fast.
rapidly.
Yeah.
Rapidly, right? Before you can even catch up with what's happening, it's moved another inch. And so this is why I'm telling you guys that it is very imperative that you start learning this now, right? Do something hard while you have it easy before you get forced to switch over to this new economy. I'm not going to say when and where they're going to do this, but if you look at the trend of what's going on with the dollar, because all you have to do is look at the economy, it's barely being held up by two picks. That's the reason why the chairman of the Federal Reserve had to lower the interest rate, because he's thinking that's going to help revive the economy, which we all know it's all a game of smoke and mirrors, because all they're doing is just managing debt. If you ever look at the national debt, that debt clock, it's not going anywhere, because that's how they make money. The way the Federal Reserve works is that they make money off the debt that the U.S. Citizens owe them, right? Because how they're going to make money is off the interest off the money we owe them.
I feel like there's a whole lot that's going on deeper behind the scenes than what a lot of people know about.
And that's what I'm trying to wake people up to. And this wouldn't be the government and the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve is not a federal entity. I know I have to keep saying that to some folks, because some people didn't know that or don't believe it, but you can go look it up for yourself. I mean, even though it has the word federal in the title, it's like Federal Express. Federal Express is a private corporation, is it not? So why couldn't the Federal Reserve be one? So at the end of the day, these people, because I call them these people, it's a private corporation, which basically runs our money. And at the end of the day, these people are in that business, right? Because they're in the business of making money, literally, right? No pun intended, right? They're in the business of making money. And so they in 1933, I think it was, they did a seizure on private citizen, U.S. citizen having gold, and you were supposed to surrender your gold to the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government. So you just don't never know what these people are going to pull. It wouldn't be the first time that they have done something like that. And so you need to be in line to make sure that you got all your ducks in a row.
You know what, Portia? I think I would have said, no, you're not getting my goal.
Right? I would have hit it or something, right? What they're going to do.
Yeah, you can't get it. You don't even know I have it. So I'm going to go to the next scenario. So, a lot of people talk about financial freedom a lot. They want to be financially free. What would you say to the person that is seeking financial freedom?
That was a viral thing on Instagram. Fire. You remember that fire viral that they would have going on? Financial independence, retirement early, or something like that. Financial freedom, retire early. Because that was a big thing among some of the younger folks. They wanted to enjoy life, and I feel like the mindset behind how we work is very much shifted. I was on the phone with my dad earlier, who turned 70 this year. Like, oh yeah, I had to work, and I was good at work and what I did, and they saw what I was doing, and then they gave me a raise and blah blah blah. So what he was telling me was that, in the old way of doing things, they were very much dependent on working for a company, and you had to be patted on the head or the back in order for someone to give you a leg up, or thought that you were doing something good and throw you another quarter. So, and the time that you put into the company didn't necessarily equate to what you were getting back from it, right? There was this guy who retired from Burger King or something like that, had been there so many years, like 20 or 30 years, never missed a day at work. And what did they give that man? What did they give him? Was it a watch or something? I don't even think they gave him that much. I think it was a pat on the back and a certificate and a good job. And this is what I'm telling folks, right? When you work for yourself, nothing is more rewarding than the self fulfillment and self satisfaction that comes from you producing something and also reaping the benefits from it as well. Because when you work for someone else, yeah, you may be producing something, but you're not going to reap the benefits from it. You're not, because who's going to reap the benefits? The company is. So the energy that you're spending with that company and making them rich and bringing in more revenue for them, well, why couldn't you do that for yourself? And so a lot of people talk about financial freedom. Financial freedom is cool. You're able to afford what you want to afford and maybe take trips when you want to take it. But what you really want to go for is financial independence, because financial freedom means that, yeah, you have the money to afford whatever it is that you want to afford. And that's great. But financial independence, what that means is that I am financially sovereign, meaning that I make my money independent of someone else. right? The money that I generate is the money that comes from me, whatever my intellectual property is. It could be a book, it could be music, whatever that is, right? Or the service or product that I produce. So from there, this is what we need to look at, because financial independence is much greater than financial freedom, because financial independence will also allow you to get your time back, right? And that is the most important aspect of life, because I don't know how much time I have. Do you know how much time you have? I was on the phone with my grandmother. She's 88 years old. And I told her, I said, you know what? The funny thing about death is that I may have less time than you, right? You're thinking because you're older that you're going to be dying soon, but I could be the one on the chopping block next and I don't even know about it. So we need to understand, right? And get things more prioritized in life, that time is the most important thing that you have in your life. You'll never be able to get time back. Lost money can be recovered. So if you had a bad investment, okay, dust yourself off, right, and pick yourself up and learn to invest again. But again, you still can make the money again. But the time, you'll never get that back. And that's why I said, especially to people who have children, right, to parents is much more important, because your children will only be a certain age within a certain time, right? Your daughter will only be 7 once in her life. So if you want to be more involved in their lives and as they're growing up, then you need to figure out a way that's going to get you something, get you paid, right? Get you some money in without you having to work for it all the time. And that can be, like I said, some type of income producing asset or some type of intellectual property.
This is so inspirational, LaPorcha, and I hope it's doing the same thing for everybody else as it's doing for me, because it's motivating me. And that's one of the things that I thought about when you were speaking about the financial freedom, and you talked about the people that worked on these jobs and hardly got recognition. Well, we know that recognition and achievement is what really motivates us. And if we are, because I very much support that financial independency, because it's like at any time, if you're not financial independent, people can come along and just do what they want to. Just like, say, for instance, if you are having your own business, but you're working on this platform. This platform can decide, okay, we're going to close down, we're going to stop, or whatever. And then you'll find yourself in that position where you need, what's the next thing? So I always feel like independence is best, so that you have control, a sense of control over, or you really have the power to manage yourself financially in a way that's more comfortable for you. You don't have to ask for sick time, or you don't have to ask to go on vacation. So I think that is very important for us. I'm glad you brought that out. And like I said, I hope everybody is motivated by that. I'm telling you, I hope you're taking notes. You need to be writing these jewels down, because if you just listen to some of the things we're saying in a short interview, 1 hour, there's enough here for you to just run with. So I'm going to move on to the
Let
next.
me bring in one more thing, because I forgot to bring up another point, is the fact you want multiple streams of income, right? You don't want to rely on just one thing. And that's the problem with just having one job, because once they pull the rug from under your feet, that's it. Because a lot of people get laid off. Even if you're a government employee, you're not protected, right? You can get furloughed. I can't the word that furlough. With the government, they can stop paying you, and you still have to work and things like that. So having one thing has never worked out, right? You want, that's the thing, that's my IT nature, because the thing was to have many points of failure, not just a single point, right? You want to make sure that if this income gets cut off, well, we still got 4 more streams coming in over here. And that's what I'm talking about. It's about creating multiple streams of income, mainly passive if possible. If you can make them all passive, that's great. Even if you had to start a service related business like lawn servicing or something, yeah, you may be the one cutting the yards at the beginning, but once you get so much money coming in, then you start hiring people to do the work for you. And you just need to make sure they're up to your same standard, right, to keep the goodwill of your business up. But other than that, I mean, you want to be as hands off as possible, because one thing that I learned, and this is through Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about the quadrant. The quadrant is ESBI, right? The E stands for employee, the S stands for self employed, the B stands for business owner, and then the I stands for investor. Okay. The investor quadrant is always where you want to be, because you can passively invest your money wherever and get returns where you're on the beach in Hawaii. But a lot of us start off in the E quadrant because we're programmed to be employees first, right? That's where most of us start. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that it's bad to be employed by somebody. If you love and like your job, then by all means stick with it if that's what you're meant to do. But let's face it, a lot of us are working jobs that we don't even enjoy, right? We enjoy the money that the job is producing, but we're not enjoying the work. And so now you need to have this come to Jesus moment with yourself to find out what is it that you're good at or could create that's in alignment with what you love to do. Test that out. I don't think we get opportunities as adults to really figure out what it is that we really want to do. I remember choosing my major in college. It was like a big deal. I was 18 years old. I'm like, man, this is going to be my rest of my life kind of thing. You feel that pressure, right? When you're starting off in college and you're like, man, I'm 18. I have to decide what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Well, how can you? Because at 18, you're not going to be the same person at 40. So you may have decided to go into social working, and it wasn't for you, right? It's not what you wanted to do. So now you need to figure out what it is that you do. Or you could have became a lawyer, right? I remember this lady, she was a six-figure lawyer, loved the money, but hated the job. She quit, right? She was making the money. And that's what I'm telling you, money is not it. It's not everything. It's not.
I'm glad you said that because I know in my early 20s, it took me a long time to kind of figure out. I didn't quite figure out what I wanted to do. And I think that it was because so many people, and this is not just me, I know that it's other people too, but so many people had influence on what you should become. And then after a while, what you really want to become gets lost. I think Chopra calls it dharma, where he said he raised his children in a way that he did not force them, you need to go to college, you need to prepare for college. He just kind of let them throughout their childhood live out their dreams. And even though they did not have like a plan right away, everybody is successful and everybody is doing what they're truly happy at. So I think it's very important to like sit with yourself to figure out what is it, because as you said, at one moment we were in diapers and the
Exactly.
next thing you know, we're something else. So we have to constantly check in to see, okay, who are we now
Do I
and what.
really love what I do? Do I have a passion for the work that I'm doing? Do I love getting up every morning and being with these people in the office, right? Because remember, you have to be in synergy with the coworkers that you work with, right? You can't be over there hating on Bob and all this other good stuff. If you're not in alignment with that office, then maybe that's not the place for you to be. And that's what I'm telling people. Like, life is too short to be unhappy. And if you're in situations that are making you miserable, then why are you there? Why are you there? I have an aunt that's been married almost 40 years to the same man. He's cheated on her multiple times throughout the marriage. And you ask her, why are you still with this man? Because I've been with him so long. If something happened, I want to be able to cash in on the insurance. But what happens if you die first? Right? You're not going to be able to cash in on the insurance on him. So this is what I'm saying. And yet she's in this miserable situation for what? Hoping one day he'll die before her? Like, that's crazy. And this is what I'm telling you. Like, some people don't even examine their own thoughts to see if that even makes sense, because now you're trying to delay happiness that may never ever come.
I'm sorry, but when you said that, I know it's a whole lot of people that can relate to that. It may not be the same situation, but it's a whole lot of people holding on to stuff. And the reason why they're holding on to it really doesn't make
No,
sense at
it doesn't
all.
make sense, right? I'm not going to be happy with this person yet. I must choose to suffer until he dies, and then hopefully I'll be happy then.
Wow.
Right. And that's if he dies before me, right? We don't know the order of life and how things are going to go, because what happens if she passed away before him?
Oh my goodness.
And that's how most people live, though, Kimberly. And that's why I am here to help call out these things, especially in relation to money. Because I mean, there's different aspects of life that we can talk about, because mindset affects everything. right? What you believe you can't achieve. And if you don't believe it, then you'll never achieve it, right? It goes both ways. Your mind, everything begins and ends with you, point blank, period.
Mm. You said a whole lot right there. You said a whole lot. It's true. And when people begin to realize that, we are the ones creating our reality, and that when we look around, whatever we see that's there that we don't like is something within us that's causing that situation to happen, whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, physically, we are creating it. So,
That's right. And you have to ask yourself two questions. One is, what do I have to believe in order for this situation to manifest? And two is,
mm,
what do I have to believe in order for me to feel the way that I do? Right? Because obviously it's stemming from some deep rooted belief that you have. And your beliefs are no more than repetitive thoughts that you have that are now attached to some type of emotion. Right? Because now you're emotionally invested in that thought and now it becomes a belief.
you have to repeat those two questions again. Repeat those two questions.
So, what do I have to believe in order for me to see what's in front of me? Because obviously, you believed in something in order for the results to manifest as they are now. And then the second one is, what do I have to believe for me to feel the way that I do? Because obviously, however I'm feeling, it's stemming from some type of belief. Because again, we give things meaning. We give things meaning in our life, right? Nothing becomes personal to it's yours. Like you can see an iPhone on the shelf, but until you buy it, now it's yours. Now this one has meaning because it's yours. But it's just like any other iPhone that this person has. There's no different, right? In the iPhone itself, you may even have the same company and you may have the same color, but you give that phone meaning because now it's yours, right? And so you think
And until you give it meaning, it
it
won't
means
become
nothing,
you. Yeah.
right? It's just an old
Yeah.
iPhone sitting on the shelf.
Wow.
So we define things that we have that we think have meaning in our lives through the thoughts and beliefs that we have from the emotions that get attached to that, right? It's all about the emotional attachment because now once this phone is mine, it's like it's my baby, right? I don't want to drop it. Don't want anybody to take it, right? So I have these emotions towards this phone now.
It's almost kind of like too when you think about it, when you have things that it gets old and you don't play with it anymore, you don't have time for it anymore, it starts falling apart, you
Yeah,
know,
but you
because
still want to keep it, but it's yours.
yep.
And I know that well. I'm a Taurus, so I can speak. I can testify to that. I think I got some socks in there from the third grade. I'm like, I'm holding on to these socks. I'm not gonna let them go. You may not be able to find these type of socks anymore, right?
I hold on to stuff like that too.
Crazy. But why am I holding on to these socks? I'll never wear them again.
Yes. Okay, we got one more scenario.
Hmm.
Someone is down to nothing. They don't have anything. They're struggling day to day financially, just trying to get food to eat. They're at what they consider to be rock bottom. How do they, LaPortia, develop their money mindset?
I get it, right? Reality sucks sometimes, right? When you know that there's no money in the bank, there's no food in the refrigerator, you don't know if you're going to have gas in the car to make it to work in the morning, that could be a hard reality to face, but it's the reality that you created. So the step one is taking accountability for where you are and starting from where you are. And this is where I teach most of my clients is that we have to start from where we are today, right? We may not have the $1 million in the bank. We may not have the champagne, waiting for us chilled on ice. And that's fine. That's fine. Because where I am today doesn't define where I'll be tomorrow. And if we all know that time is an illusion, there's no past, present, and future. So what happens now, what I do now dictates what I will see next. So what we have to do is get your mind prepared for having more come in and seeing the abundance that you already have, and then learn how to give gratitude for the things that you have, and then forgive your past self, right? Because we need to work on forgiveness. Don't beat yourself up, man. I should have did this 10 years ago. I should have. Okay, we should have, would have, could have. But now you're here and you've learned that you need to take action. So now that's a good thing. That served you, right? You procrastinating 20 years ago is now serving you now, because now you know that you have to take action, and that's going to be the motivation that's going to propel you to the next level. So now that you feel this, let's go ahead and get you into the mindset of being grateful for what you have. So what do you have now that you can be grateful for? Let's start with the basic things. Are you breathing? Yeah, I am breathing. Is the air clean? Yes, if you know. All right. So let's be grateful for the fresh air. Let's start there, because sometimes people think it has to be something grand, and it doesn't. Another way I help them to expand their minds is by giving them certain tasks to do. The one that I like for a lot of people to do is the prosperity jar, and that's where you'll put a little bit of money into a jar every night, and what you'll start to notice is that you'll start finding coins everywhere, right? Because you're opening yourself up to abundance and to the prosperity. And I understand it may be a little change here and there, but that money still adds up. So whenever someone is going through despair, I want them to start where they are. Count how many things in their house, what they have now that they can be grateful for right now, and we're going to work on that attitude and opening you up to more abundance. And then we're going to find ways for you to bring in more income, right? Because not only do we have to work on your conscious, your subconscious, we have to work on your conscious and your reality. And the reality is you may not be making enough money. So what can you do right now that may be able to generate more money? Not necessarily you spending more time working. Now, if it has to be something like you doing Uber or DoorDash, and so be it for now, but we still want you to be working on something that's going to bring in money without you having to work. But we're going to help you bridge that gap in between. So it's all about getting them in alignment with prosperity and abundance, and letting them know that they have the power to change their lives all through their mindset, right? Mindset and action.
That's deep, Portia. You just fixed somebody's life. You
It's
just
true. We
fixed.
have to start where you are. You have to recognize that you're in Florida before you can get to New York, right? And then build out that roadmap of how are you going to get to that destination. But always think of your future self, right, along the way, because your future self habits are the ones that you need to cultivate. One of the funny things I like to talk about with people is that we have duality in us, right? We all are. So if I was trying to lose weight, I have a fat version of myself and I have a skinny version of myself. The fat version is obviously the one I've been listening to all this time, because that's the reason why I gained the weight, right? All the unhealthy eating, the junk food, not exercising, right? Like she been all in my ear. But then here's the skinny version of me too. She's over here. Maybe I ought to listen to what she's saying. Oh, I need to get up and exercise in the morning. Okay, all right. Maybe I need to have a protein shake instead of having a heavy lunch. Okay. So this is the game that you have to play with yourself, because this is my future self. My future self is the thin version of me. That's who I want to be. So I need to look at what she would look like and what her habits are, and listen to her versus the fat version of myself who's not going to get me where I need to go. This is my past self.
So starting from the destination and
Right.
working yourself back to the beginning, that's
You got to go to the
amazing.
future. Exactly. You have to look at what habits your future self would have. So, if you want to be a person who invests, then what habits of your future investment self would that be? Oh, well, my future self would take a class. Or my future self would take a course. Or my future self will buy an investment book, right? My future self would learn on YouTube, like whatever that is, in order to get you to where you need to go. Because there's always going to be a gap in between who you are now and who you're becoming, but you always have to listen to the person that you're trying to become, and not the person that you have been.
Wow. And I can imagine that could be difficult sometimes because the person that you are is probably way more comfortable than the person who you will become. So I
Right,
know
that
that.
neural pathway has already been created. Those thought forms and energy is already in your energetic field, right? And so you have to do some house cleaning. And that's why I said it is very diligent work that has to be done on a daily basis, because you have to catch yourself when you're slipping back in the other direction. And that's where the work is. And that's why a lot of people don't do this work, because it's much easier for me to stay where I'm at, because this is where I'm comfortable, right? We know what's going on over here, but I don't know what's going on over there. And your mind is trying to protect you, right? Your subconscious mind, how can I say, the brain is lazy. Okay. Your body only has so much energy, right? And the brain utilizes so much of it. So what your body does, right, and what your mind does, I should say, is that it stores stuff subconsciously. For instance, like if you went to tie your shoe, you don't have to remember every day how to tie your shoe. You just know innately how to tie your shoe. And that's the beautiful thing about the subconscious mind, because once you do things repetitively, it's on autopilot. You don't have to think about it anymore. But when you are changing into a new environment, into a new person, learning new habits, we don't know this, right? It's not stored in the subconscious. That means I have to think. Oh man, that means I have to expend the energy, right? And so that's the reason why a lot of people don't make those changes, because it's so easy to stay in autopilot mode, do what I've been doing, what I'm comfortable with, because those loops and those patterns have already been set. For me to go and set new habits, new patterns, well, that's going to take some work, and my brain is going to have to expend the energy in order to do it.
I think I just heard the brain in the background say, "Did you just call me lazy?"
Well, it is. That's all it is. And most people think the brain does this and the brain does that. It does not do anything. Your brain is just a record of the past. And so if you're trying to use your brain in order to think your way into the future, it's not going to work, because all it's going to do is bring up past instances and past experiences and then try to put it together to formulate what the future could look like. And but that's it. You know, your brain is just a receiver of information, right? And once the information is received, then it can sit there and figure out, okay, well, I got this to work with XYZ and I can come up with this. But when it comes to future things, your brain has no idea what your future is going to look like. And so this is where intuition comes into play. And so this is where we're going to have to learn how to trust something greater than ourselves in order to guide us to the next level. Because I love what Joe Dispenza says. He said your brain could be a record of the past or a roadmap of the future. So which way you want yours to go? Because we all can think of things in the past that have happened to us that could set us back mentally if we allow it to.
I want mine to take me to the future, LaPortia.
And exactly. You want to be propelled to the future, use your intuition.
Is there any advice that you would like to leave us with today in regards to the money mindset?
Yeah, lots of advice. First things first, start where you are. If you're that person who has been struggling with money, haven't been able to make ends meet, you need to do a deep dive into why is that? Where did those patterns and behaviors and habits come from? Obviously, they stem from somewhere. It could have been something that, happened in your past, could be programming from your parents, could be what you learned in school. Like it could come from anywhere. Really do the deep dive and the introspect and ask yourself, well, what do I have to believe is true in order for this to be the result? Because everything begins and ends with you, meaning that what you think will become, right? So whatever you're thinking today will eventually manifest into your life if you give it enough momentum as far as the energetic influence of emotions. Because we can worry about the past or we can worry about the future, but the truth is it's all happening now. So whatever habits that you want to cultivate to make your future much brighter, you need to start doing that and implementing those habits now. And one of the things that I always tell people, and which is a head scratcher to me, is that you got athletes like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Simone Biles, right? What is the one thing that they all have in common? They all have coaches. They all had coaches that help propel them to the next level. And why is it that people, when they play sports and they want to get great, they go hire a coach? But when it comes to the important aspects and parts of our lives, like career, finances, romance, whatever that is for you, we don't hire people to help us in those areas. So I'm here to help you, right? Become better, to become that Michael Jordan of your finances. Because at the end of the day, he had help getting become great too. And to be honest with you, you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started in order to be great.
That was amazing. You have been listening to LaPorcha Cooper, money mindset coach, author, lecturer. You can reach her on Bloom Life, BLOOMLIFE.me. Her IG is bloomlife.coach. Her Cash App is money sign Venus, BLAQUE. And her PayPal is .me/Portia. And that's Porcha. Portia, I can't tell you how grateful I am to have you here today, bringing all of this information, all of this knowledge. I can see so many people growing with what you have shared with us today. Thank you so much for coming. And I want you to know that you are welcome back because we got to dive deeper into some of these topics. It was
We
just a
do.
whole
And I
lot of.
want to do a shameless self promotion. My book is on Amazon, so for those who want to get a copy of my book from fiat to digital, you can definitely find it on Amazon. If you can search by my name, Portia Cooper, and the book should come up. So it's one to enjoy because again, the book is not just about crypto; it's about helping you transition your mind in order to get into a state to accept this new world. And it has a lot of different techniques that you can do, like reframing, journaling, affirmations, and things like that in the book. So, hope you guys enjoy it.
Congratulations on writing your first book, LaPorcha.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly. And I am so proud to say and honored to be here. I believe your platform is one that is needed, and I'm glad that you gave me an opportunity for my voice to be heard.
Oh, thank you. You're the best, Portia. And have a good day.
You too. Take care.